to here. Today I'm going to do part 5 of my What If Deku was trained by the Straw Hats. In the last part, I ended it with well, the test after the agency. So basically, everyone did the same thing as in the original, except basically the only two that got different things were Bakugo and Izuku. Bakugo having to fight two teachers, which he won, and Izuku fighting all 10 of them, which he also won. So, yeah. After that happened, they were told about where the training they're going to do, and that if they had anything that they wanted to get, to go get it now. So, basically, they went to the same place they went in the original. This time, though, Shigaraki didn't try to fight them because he was literally afraid of Izuku. Like, the kid was literally making him almost shit his pants. That's the that's the point to which he was scared of him. So he didn't attack them because that. So everything was fine for everyone. After a while, they went back, and later, when they had to take the boss, basically they did. Um, so for basically everyone, when they arrived to well, the rest stop like that they did, where afterward they were thrown down by Pixie Bob. In this one, he basically Aizawa knows that both Izuku and Bakugo would literally just pass in front of anyone, probably go doing the entire thing in like 5 minute max for Bakugo, and Izuku probably like about a minute if he went full speed. So he basically tell those two that he wants to talk to them, bring them closer, and then Pixie Bob basically does what she did in the anime. Then Pixie Bob and Mandalay ask him why he didn't want those two to do it, which he basically explained by saying that, well, even if they sent it those two, they would probably finish it before they even arrived with the cars, so it didn't really matter. So in the forest, basically, they fought and arrived like around the same time because yes, Bakugo and Izuku are not with them, but everyone got training from Izuku, which made them stronger, which allows them to kind of um, have the strength that are missing from the anime. Since none of them trained long enough with Izuku to basically be overpowered compared to that. And Aizawa knows that those two don't really, well, need to do this. So when it came down to it with everyone, um, waiting for basically the teacher. Well, no, when they were waiting for the students to arrive, at some point Bakugo asked precisely um, why, well, what they were going to do for training. Aizawa told him that he was going to train basically the same way he trained in the anime. He basically explained him that. Then Izuku asked, well, Izuku didn't ask it, but Pixie Bob asked, what about Izuku? What is he going to do? And Aizawa basically said he's going to train with those that want to train in combat, or to use the weapons and moves that he taught them. So they basically ask him what he means with Tiger. Well, talk about Tiger. Then Aizawa tells them, yeah, well, he's able to fight Ten's teacher from UA as well as All Might, while he's has 4 tons on him that to hold him back. Pretty sure he's able to fight anyone that um on Earth if he's able to do that. Which they kind of uh, said, okay, yeah, that explains it. So after that happened, they the others arrived. Um, they eat, then they basically take their time before or the next day when they start training. Um, Ojiro and Kirishima basically train the same way with that they did, except that at the same time they use black leg style to train and train that as well. Momo basically trains the same way that she did, but only partially. She does that, and at the same time, well, not at the same time, but like for an hour, she trained her creation, and then the rest of the day, she basically trained her swordsmanship with deku. Tokoyami basically just trains the same way because he never trained with Izuku. Um, Tsuyu was basically trained by Izuku to use the climb attack, which basically the teacher were impressed by what the weapon was and what it was doing, basically saying it basically acts like a quirk, which Izuku says that, well, where he learned to use it, basically a lot of things can happen, and that then they ask him what he means by where he was, which Aizawa tells them that what happened to him was that when he was young, he was captured by some people that while he was at a beach, like multiple other kids, and that someone with the quirk basically made different reality, sent them to one where there were pirates, stuff like that, and basically he trained there to use all of the martial arts he has, all of the things he can do, his swords and stuff, which they basically thought it was really weird, which Izuku says Yeah, and think about me. I spent 3 years there, and for a while I didn't know what had happened. All I know is that at some place they are that portals to that world appears at different intervals in both worlds, and that if you're able to get in one, you basically get transported. They don't stay open for long, and you better wish to be close to the destination you want to go, because it can literally be anywhere where it's at sea that they can appear. And in that world, it's basically about 90% sea, and the rest is land. Well, no, a lot more than that. Basically, like 94% water, the rest is land. So you better wish to be close to an island and hope to not be in the Grand Line, well, in Paradise, the New World, or the Com Belts. Which they ask what all of those are, and he basically says that the Com Belt is a place where water monsters that are extremely giant go to lay their eggs and live. Uh, Paradise is basically one of the two most dangerous places in that world because it is them thinking about it, he decides to show them, basically asking Momo to make a globe that doesn't have anything on it, as well as paint and things like that. Since Nami's basically taught him how to navigate, so he knows how to draw maps, stuff like that. And he basically made on the globe the entire map of what he knew and Nami knew, which he knows a lot more because where he was sent, basically there were not just a guy who taught him in swords training, but a lot more things. It was basically an island where retired pirates go that Marine doesn't really know about because it's literally hidden. And there he basically learned, well, a lot more in navigation, shipwrights, swords, stuff like that. And basically, someone showed him a perfect map of the world and with the islands where they were. But Nami, what she wanted to do was make perfect map of the islands and the waters. So he knows the surface from that place. He knows underwater from Nami, and he knows basically everything from the Straw Hat. So he literally made the perfect map of how the world look from the outside, basically putting the name of every island, um, saying what each island has in particular. So like the Thunder Island in the New World, basically Thunder Island that he puts behind, well, next to it, since yes, it has a name, but he gives it the name and says what is particular. So the island from Chopper, he basically says, puts the name, then Snow Island. Um, Little Garden, he basically puts Jurassic Island because dinosaurs and stuff like that are all around there. Um, well, you get the point. And he basically shows every place where he's been, and everyone is impressed by it. Then he tells um, the teachers that basically each place that he trained and that were basically special or like showing this island is where that guy came from in the crew. That island is where this guy was found. Basically showing every island where everyone was. And then he points to to Reverse Mountain, which is the place where you basically find, well, where Laboon was, and where you use the currents that go up the mountain to get in the New World. He said that he basically was there when they found him. So, after learning all that, they basically said, well, Aizawa said that if he didn't find the thing to come back to this world, what would he have done? And basically, he just said, I would have helped my captain become the Pirate King, all the way to the point where I would have been able to come back. Then he explained about the devil fruits, stuff like that, and everything. Which they basically said, so devil fruit are like quirks, but you need to eat a special fruit to get it. He says yes, and then a student asked, let's say it was Kirishima, he asked, why didn't you take one then? You would have been able to be a lot more powerful. Which he then says, yeah, I would have been able to be more powerful, but there is a problem with eating a devil fruit. You cannot swim and you drown in water automatically. You cannot move. As well as in that world, a special type of stone called Sea Prism Stone nullify devil fruit powers, which they basically say, okay, so you didn't want those because of the drawbacks? He says, oh no, I didn't want. We just never found one that I would have liked. Well, we just never found one actually. At some point, yes, there was one that we could have probably been able to get, but one of the captain's brother was there and basically grabbed it. They asked what the fruit was, and they said, well, he says, oh, the fruit that one of the captain's dead brother had ate, but yeah, he kind of died, so the fruit went back into circulation, and he wanted someone in the crew to eat it. He asked me to do it, but I told him if we were able to get it, and if no one else in the crew wanted it. So I could have had it, but we, well, we didn't win. Not because we weren't strong enough, but because the other brother of the captain basically went and took it for himself. So I didn't get it, and afterward, well, we never found a new one again. So I don't have one. After all that happened, they basically told him, okay, but why didn't you just try and find one? Which he says, because I didn't want one unless it was already in my possession. So why would I need to go and look for one? So um, after all that happened, they went back to training. Class 1B arrived and started their training also. Basically, that was before Class 1B arrived. They arrived like just before Izuku finished talking. So everyone went back to training. They basically saw everyone using different things. Momo using swords, um, Froppy using a weird stick that basically makes whatever she wants in the atmosphere. So they ask what the hell they're doing and how they're doing that. Then Izuku basically goes to them and says that this is the training that he does with them. One of them tries to ask him if he can train with them, but Izuku basically says if you want to train with us, you would pretty much need to be able to do their training as well, because I train people a lot more than most people. So basically everyone gets a lot stronger than in the original, like a massive amount stronger. They're at least 1.8 times stronger than in the original, each person that trained with Izuku. During that time, a lot of times what he was doing was basically fighting with others, using Haki to basically fight against Shoto to counter his ice and fire, as well as against Bakugo. He was training with Ojiro and Kaminari and Blackleg. He was fighting against no, Ojiro and Kirishima with Blackleg. Kaminari was training one for all in his own quirk with Izuku just fighting normally. And basically everyone got stronger like that. He also found where Koda was, as well as the same thing that happened with Izuku catching Koda when he was falling after pushing down Mineta, hearing the story and stuff like that. So the night of the attack, the same game happens. Izuku basically put his observation hockey on everything, like the entire forest, since he wanted to make sure. So when the villain appeared, he told Mandalay that villains were here and that they needed to tell everyone to come back. She said it. Then she asked where Koda was. He saw exactly where he was and saw that one of the villains was getting there. Well, was there practically. And directly jumped to it using Skywalk. When he arrived there, he basically arrived just before Muscular took off. Well, was going to punch Koda, and basically he just pushed Muscular in the wall so strong that he basically knocked him out. Like, nope. You are not doing that. He grabbed Muscular and Koda and basically started using Skywalk to go back, seeing everything that was happening. He got back, put Koda there, down, looked at Muscular, and basically gave another hit to his head to make sure he was knocked out for a good amount of time. Like, he was in a coma at this point. So basically asked Mandalay to tell Eraserhead that he was going to fight against every villain to stop them, which she did. Aizawa, hearing that, basically thought, that dumbass. I accept that he does that, but I can't even tell him. Which Izuku, basically using observation hockey, can hear stuff that are a lot further. So he basically tells Mandalay that to tell Aizawa that he heard him and say thanks that he's going to fight now. When she tells him that, he basically says, "How the fuck did you hear me?" So basically, Izuku leaves. Against everyone that trained with Izuku was doing a lot better against the villains. Um, every time he was arriving somewhere, he was basically beating them down. Momo put a tracker on one of the Nomus. Basically, since Izuku was looking at everything, he knew what was happening everywhere, saw what she did, basically killed every Nomu except that one. Um, then went and took down twice Dobby, um, the Magician, Spinner, and the other guy, Magna. Well, those two he took them down the second they appeared, but he saw basically he had seen them. He told everyone. Then, when going to Muscular, the reason he arrived so late was because he saw those two and went and put them down before going back to Coda. So that happened. So in the end, Moonfish was taken down as well. His teeth were broken, so he couldn't use his quirk. Every villain was taken back by Kurogiri at some point, except Muscular. The Nomu was sent back to the Normu factory. And nobody got kidnapped. So basically, they started getting back to school. The heroes decided to do the raid. Izuku was basically told, "You are coming with us. You do not have a say in this. You are the strongest here, and we need you." They sent him for the Nomu factory because for if Nomus were stronger than All Might, he could kill them. When everyone was teleported, well, no, when the explosion happened, Deku wasn't affected, using his hockey to block everything from him. Every other hero basically got the same damage as in the original. Um, one, All for One saw Izuku and was basically, a hardening quirk. Pretty impressive. I would like it. Then he forced the teleportation of everyone else. Then afterward went to try and harm Deku, which um, Shigaraki saw Deku and basically told one for all for one, "Don't get close. He's going to." And Deku basically chopped his arm off. Well, not his arm, but the thing he launches to take quirk and attack. He basically cut that off, and then jumped and moved fast enough to basically cut. Well, once again do the special attack that cuts without cutting and takes him down in a second. Looks at every other villain that was there and basically tells them, or you get down, or I do the same thing with him that I did with him. So Shigaraki was not able to escape, um, just as everyone else. So Toga and Magna, Kurogiri, and everyone, they got captured this time. So yeah, it's the end of the League of Villain. So basically, with what I'm going to do is that while they were taken away, this is where they're going to be released. Because I'm going to explain it right now because it's basically happening the moment, well, in the moment they were being transported somewhere else. Kurogiri was able to wake up, then it was an accident, but one of the car basically crashed. It liberated Kurogiri, which after being liberated, he basically teleported everyone to a different place. So they were safe after that. So that the story can continue. Basically, All for One was still brought to the prison, but um, the League of Villain was saved by Kurogiri because of an accident. When hearing that, everyone was, well, Izuku was a bit mad, but no one was scared or anything because they knew Izuku was basically capable of doing a lot more than anyone. One thing that was funny was that All for One, hearing that the Nomu and the entire team in the USJ was basically took down at once by a single kid, he amassed a massive amount of quirk just to try and be stronger, but that didn't change anything, basically, since Izuku is too strong. So after that happened, um, basically the dorm was set, everyone went in it, and one thing that was made in the dorm was basically in those old house where there are metal tubes that goes in every different rooms. There's that in this one where they can close it if they don't want anyone to have sound coming in or and out. And basically it's because Izuku most of the nights and stuff like that. A lot of time what he does is sing or just in class when they're they don't have anything to do. He basically sings to them and plays songs and stuff like that. So they basically placed that so that the sounds can go in every room to help everyone be calm and stuff like that. At first, I was going to make it be walkie-talkies, but someone told remembered me about those things. So yeah, that's basically what happens in it, and basically it helps them have a massive amount of items, well, not items, but music just sent across the entire place, which calms everyone. And if they don't want to hear it, they can just close it. And nobody's bothered by that because, well, he literally is one of the best musicians in this world. Jiro likes it a lot as well. So I'm going to do one last thing before ending, and it's the battle against Mirio. The battle against Mirio basically happens in a way that um, they met them the same way. Um, Nejiro basically says the same thing to everyone, except that to Izuku she says, all of the skills you have that makes you stronger than even All Might I really want to learn about everything. Um, then Mirio asks for the battle, which looking at Deku basically says, you go, I'm pretty sure you're going to be giving me a good fight, so I want to fight you alone. So he fights everyone and then fights Izuku. Basically, nobody's able to land a hit on Mirio. Compared to what Izuku can do, because the way I made it is that Haki does kind of nullify quirks a bit, in the way that quirks that basically attacks you normally, like Shigaraki's quirk wouldn't work on Izuku because of the hardening, so pretty easily. Uh, Not hardening quirk, but um, Shigaraki's quirk, since it basically age stuff to destroy them. It doesn't work on Izuku. So basically, he is practically immune to almost any quirk when he's using it. And he constantly have observation haki and a small layer of armament, the invisible layer that just hardens your skin a bit. So naturally, um, Mirio can't even pass through him. It's basically like hitting a wall, even when he is permeating. So once the moment he saw that this was happening, he basically just tried punching Izuku, which didn't do anything, and then he got one punched. Izuku told him that it was good, but he fought people a lot stronger than that. Hell, he fought people stronger than All Might, where he had to train. Which, when they asked that, basically someone, let's say Jiro, basically recorded what he said at one point and basically made multiple copies and basically passed them some tape and said, just listen to those and you're going to have the entire explanation. Which Izuku was really happy about because he had enough of always doing it. Sorry about that. So, sorry. So Mirio knows about everything Izuku did. He made Night hear it, which Night was impressed because that's a lot that he had to go through. So, well, a lot to go through and a lot to learn and stuff. So, yeah, the next arc was the license, license test exam. So I'm going to do that in the next episode. And yes, Izuku is overpowered. I told it, like I said, and that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you liked it. Natsu out.